I wonder whether I could ask you in a short way to address, starting with you, Chris, to address the results from your region in a more detailed way.
Well, what we have seen in the case of Greece is, through Mistral activities, is that even if we have a long tradition in the marine and the maritime economy, there are still significant gaps in the entrepreneurial ecosystem. We have a small country with 13 diversified regions, 12 of which are coastal, with autonomous coastal and marine infrastructure. And even if we have the appropriate infrastructure, very good scientists and entrepreneurs, we have few regional operational programs that address the issue of the challenges in blue economy. This means that there are state-of-the-art solutions, but they cannot be commercial yet. What we did in the case of Greece was to interlink the potential of these regions with relevant EU policies, of course, and to create targeted policy recommendations, but by showing also the policymakers which are the best practices in every case. The sectors that we found too many similarities in all regions was fisheries, tourism, of course, and blue biotechnology. The sector of aquaculture and renewables differs in each region, but by developing specialized application, they can work in a complement way with all the other sectors in order to build a sustainable blue economy. One area that concerns, of course, all the other sectors, and it is necessary, as Nuno said, to create partnerships at national and transnational level, is the field of maritime surveillance and environmental monitoring. This is why we paid special attention when we needed to address this issue in our policy recommendations. And we expect in the next programming period to inspire more regions to adapt the strategy of blue economy in order to create competitive and sustainable regions in Greece and in the future in all the Mediterranean regions.
Okay, thank you for this detailed approach from Greece. I wonder, Stefano, if we can hear from you. Or in the meanwhile, while Stefano is coming online, Carla, may I ask you? Oh no, sorry, he's here. I'm sorry, yeah. He's here.
Yeah, I'm pretty much in line with the result of presented by Nuno. In our region, we had some specificity. In particular, we developed the ministerial activity in combination with the elaboration of our new policy of innovation, the smart specialization strategy. So in general, I agree with this, what emerged by the questionnaire. In particular, in our region, also thanks to the work done at a regional policy level, when we are talking about smart specialization strategy, we can see three main elements that will be very important in the next years in our region and in three main sectors. In particular, in marine renewable energy, we will have a big transformation. We will finally have plants in our offshore sea. And so we need to accompany this transformation of our manufacturing sector. So in particular, we have got a very strong offshore competencies, but now we need to reconvert this manufacturing system into marine renewable energy. Second, also the fishery. We have got a lot of shellfish, but we need to transform this because the world demand for fish food is increasing. So Also this, we will need a lot of trainings because our fishery needs a lot of training. Third, that is very important in our area, the sustainability of the coastal tourism. This will be also really, really important. So all these three elements that are really important for our specialization needs to have action and help in terms of startup creation for young entrepreneurs, and also collaboration with the research lab for our ecosystem, but also international. So we did something with MISTA, but we need to do more in the future.
Thank you, Stefano. Carla, may I ask you?
So now it's my turn for Portugal. Well, Portugal in the last few years has invested a lot in the blue economy. We have a very extension area of the exclusive economic area. We have more than 1,000 of coastline, and our government from the last few years is investing in the sea, and it sees the sea and the sea activities has a potential for growing, economic growth of the country. So it's investing a lot in potentiate the blue growth in all sectors of the economy. And you can see that now in the National Ocean Strategy for the new decade, and also in the smart specialization strategies for all the regions. It's revealing the interest on the blue growth and a blue economy for all the regions in Portugal and for Portugal itself. So this has been a good investment. But the reality is that we are not growing in the way we should, or we don't have so many companies working in the blue growth sectors as we should with the. We have a very good, we are a sea country, so we have sea all over, and we have a big potential to be a reference in the blue economy. I had the opportunity in the last few months of talking with several companies on the blue business, successful companies in the blue business area. And the main constraint that was focused from all these companies is national legislation. So this was found as the constraining factor for the blue growth and for having more innovation and for have more interest and growth on this economy, on the blue economy. And I can give you some examples. One of the participants in our Blue Business Plan competition is trying to license his activity for 3 years. So you need be very resilient not to give up on your idea and to go forward. And another example that I can give you is that we had a company, it's a successful one, but we had this company that is regulated, his activity is regulated by 12 different entities. And they don't talk with each other. And the rules and legislation from each entity, it's different. So every time he wants to do something different and something new, he has to talk with 12 people. And in some cases he can, and some others he can't. So he says that he passes half of his time trying to solve bureaucratic problems so he can increase and develop and innovate. And another example, just to finish, is he bought a land because he wanted to cultivate microalgae. So he wanted to do microalgae. And then he tried to license it, and he couldn't. And he was like, why? Because the land he bought, it was very near his actual field company. It's considered agriculture field. And he's cultivating microalgae. And microalgae in Portugal are considered aquaculture. And aquaculture is for fishing. And so it cannot have produce aquaculture in an agriculture field. So it's fighting with this license. So in the end, for all these appointments, what we found out is if we can fix these legislation and these regulation problems, we can move forward because the country is very interested in developing in all sectors of the blue economy. Thank you.
Thank you, Carla, for those examples so clear. Agustí, te puedo pedir con brevedad porque quisiéramos también poder tener preguntas del público.
Muy bien, pues siguiendo con las respuestas, desde aquí decir que a través del clúster logístico, Maritime Logistic de las Islas Baleares se hizo especial hincapié en todo lo que hace referencia precisamente a esta cooperación necesaria e imprescindible entre lo que sería la capacitación y el estar en relación permanente la universidad, las escuelas, los centros formativos con las propias empresas. Esta adaptación permanente de las nuevas necesidades fruto de los avances tecnológicos para que pudieran llegar realmente a ser implementados por estos nuevos emprendedores, pero también por aquellas empresas que ya están hoy consolidadas en el mercado y que precisamente gracias a este estímulo de la innovación a través de políticas específicas va a poder ayudar a que consigan mantenerse establecidas e incluso perdurar, ¿no? Podremos hablar incluso de relevos generacionales, que no haya este abandono de algunas profesiones y tareas, ¿no? Igual que Carla, también aquí en las Islas Baleares estamos rodeados pues, de esta apreciada agua, ¿no? Por lo tanto, tenemos, y esta es otra de las políticas que surgían a través de esta actuación, ¿no? Que precisamente difundir, sensibilizar y dar a conocer el real valor que están aportando cada una de estas nuevas soluciones que queremos proponer a las diferentes agentes que participan, ¿no? Finalmente, para no alargarme más, insistir una vez más, ¿no?, en esta necesidad de incorporar este valor específico de la mujer, de la igualdad de oportunidades, en el que pueda también incorporarse en todos estos proyectos innovadores y de futuro y que hasta hoy, por lo que sea, no habían tenido la suficiente oportunidad. Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias, Agustí. Me pregunto ahora, tendríamos unos poquitos minutos porque vamos un poco retrasados en el programa, pero sería una pena que contando con oradores, oradoras de esta calidad, si hubiera alguna pregunta entre el público que no la pudiéramos hacer. Yo, como tengo la luz, casi les veo poco, pero si levantan la mano les veo. Y pasaremos, confío, un micro para que puedan... Ah, perdón, sí, adelante. ¿Tenemos micro para...? Pues hable... No, es que hay un problema de traducción. De traducción. A ver. Sí.
Buenas tardes, soy Óscar Siches, formo parte del clúster marítimo de las Islas Baleares. Me he dedicado toda mi vida a la náutica y también soy en la ISO, en la Organización Internacional de Normalización. Estoy a cargo del grupo de trabajo sobre puertos deportivos en todo el mundo. Cuando Rafa Nadal gana un torneo de tenis... Oh, sorry. I'll say in English because then with the translation the other people can listen to. When Rafa Nadal wins a tennis tournament, half of Mallorca or half of Balearics go to the shop and buy his sporting shoes, his racket, and his T-shirt. Because there is a relation, they feel part of it. He's a hero of the island, right? We are missing that in all these works we are doing for many, many years. This is like, we are doing like in the antiquity, where the sage people did the work, got the ideas, made things be implemented. and the others just waited and followed. In these times, we need the people to be part of it if we want the things to succeed. I'm missing events of each of these actions, even if they are scientific, complicated actions. There's always a way of presenting them for the people to understand. If everybody understands what we do, we'll be a lot more successful. And maybe we'll be able to convince the administration of the state that the thing has to be done or implemented or funded. That's what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you. That was not a question, but it was a comment and a question, but maybe you would like to address some of you. I think the materials that Mistral, the toolkits that Mistral has been preparing will help to move forward in the good sense.
I totally agree with you. This is the most important thing. We need to explain all this science in simple words in order to gain and engage all the policymakers, because the field of marine economy is very diversified and it has too many stakeholders. So we need to explain everything in really simple words in order to be adapted in our culture.
Though it's difficult to compete with Rafa Nadal, if we need to make it a simple message. But anyway, do we have, ¿tenemos otras preguntas? Por favor. Sí, se pasan el micro entre ustedes, me ayudan. Porque...
Buenas tardes. Vou hablar em português ou em inglês, não sei. Well, I'll talk in English. So, good afternoon to you all. My name is Ruben Eiras. I'm the Secretary General for Ocean, the Blue Economy Cluster in Portugal. And regarding the comments, so congratulations, first of all, to the excellent work that you of the project with very useful tools. And taking what was said before by the gentleman over here, and also some of the comments, what we have now is the challenge to implement what is called the integrated maritime policy. So it's to take and integrate several pieces that are and were developed apart from one another in different legal systems, and we have to put it in only one legal construction. It's not easy. It's easier said than done, but what can be done? Regarding the licensing from the state, I think that the licensing and the regulation, which is in not only in Portugal but also in many other regions in Europe, an obstacle for things to go forward. What can be done in that? So we have to focus in the simplification of the processes, but also the law must be done, by trusting who is doing the investment, not mistrusting. So this is also a change of culture and of mentality. What ordinary citizens like us can do, and the clusters can do, and also projects like this can do, is really to make proposals for simplify the regulations towards a simplification for a better context for investment. Because investment happens when there is people for making the business, clients for consuming the products and services. But also it has to have the environment for happening. What is our situation now, and especially when you look to the south of Europe? Do we have lack of people? Of talented people? No, we don't. Do we have the lack of the territory for making a very competitive blue economy? Yes, we have. Do we have the lack of finance for making that happen? Well, believe it or not only there is quite a public money available, or it will be from next year on, but also private funds, and I'll talk later that on, are, and the ESG and sustainable oriented are everywhere. So at least I can say that in the last year, in the pandemic, I have the knowledge, empirical knowledge, at least one different blue economy fund, private sector, was created last year. And it still goes on. So what, after all, is lacking? What is lacking is the policy to be coordinated in a certain direction. And most of the politicians, they want to do that, but they don't know how to do it. Because, or they are, they don't have the public support to do it. So what I wanted to comment is that we should, coordinate our efforts and our energies for, really sending, besides the proposals of new tools and instruments that are also needed, but also how the law and the regulations can be simplified. And also acting as honest brokers of what the gentleman before me has said is the fishermen and all the other stakeholders that already use the sea, they must be heard, they must be integrated, and they must be relevant stakeholders in this new sustainable economy. And for summing up, like a Portuguese fisherman said in one of the meetings that I participated in my former role, while we were negotiating the installment of the wind float Atlantic offshore wind park, floating offshore wind, in Viana do Castelo, they said, well, the sea and the ocean is from everybody, but I arrived first. So you can say, well, this is, well, you must take this into consideration. They have also an interest now, and we have the technology, and we have the knowledge to make solutions where everybody can win, and we can also bring new opportunities of prosperity to everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone want to address the issue of simplifying legislation, coordinating efforts, coordinating stakeholders?
I talked about it. I think it was more a comment than any question, but just to say that I think this is a huge point that Ruben referred to, because sometimes these are small things that we don't deal every day. We think on the big picture for the blue grow and the strategy, but then we forget the small daily things. And so probably these are the first things that we have to start dealing with so we can go forward to the big ideas, because I do know that all over Europe there are great ideas, great entrepreneurs. They just need the chance of doing the things. And if they have all the things available, I think we can grow a lot in this sector in the Mediterranean or all over Europe. Thank you.
Thank you. You will have time now to go on the conversation during the coffee break. May I ask you to join me in thanking this excellent panel for their presentations and sharing their knowledge.